7, the 2025 Biennial Consolidated Carbon Plan and Integrated Resource Plan of Duke Energy Carolinas, Duke Energy Progress. Commissioners present are Floyd B. McKissick and John Guida. I'm William Brawley. I will be chairing this meeting. Pursuant to the State Ethics Act, I remind all members of the Commission of their duty to avoid conflicts of interest and inquire if any commissioner has any known conflict of interest with regard to the matter coming before the Commission. Let the record reflect that no such conflict has been identified. I now call for the hearing of docket E-100 sub 207, the Biennial Consolidated Carbon Plan and Integrated Resources Plan of Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, and Duke Energy Progress, LLC, pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, Sections 62-2A, 3A, 62-110.1, and 62-110.9, as well as Commission Rule R8-60A, Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, DEC, and Duke Energy Progress, LLC, DEP, which I will collectively refer to as Duke, are required to file their biennial carbon plan and integrated resources plan with the Commission no later than September 1st of each odd-numbered year. On February 12th, 2025, the Commission opened this proceeding to consider Duke's 2025 biennial carbon plan and integrated resource plan, the 2025 CPIRP. On July 4th, 2025, Duke filed a motion for waiver of Commission Rule R8-60A E-1 and a 30-day extension of the time to file its 2025 CPIRP. On July 22nd, 2025, the Commission granted Duke's motion and directed Duke to file its 2025 CPIRP with the Commission no later than October 1st, 2025. On August 6th, 2025, the Commission issued an order to provide superseding direction to Duke regarding pursuit of the interim target in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes 62-110.9 as modified by Session Law 2025-78. The Commission directed Duke to cease modeling scenarios designed to achieve the interim target by the earliest possible date, but to continue modeling scenarios to achieve the least cost path to carbon neutrality by 2050, while maintaining or improving upon the adequacy and reliability of the existing grid. On October 1st, 2025, Duke filed a verified petition seeking the Commission's approval of its proposed 2025 CPIRP, which presented a preliminary base portfolio of resources, 30 sensitivity analysis portfolios, a near-term action plan, and a resulting recommended portfolio. The 2025 CPIRP included 4 chapters, 13 appendices, and 1 attachment. On the same date, Duke pre-filed the direct testimony and exhibits of witnesses in support of its verified petition and proposed 2025 CPIRP. On October 31st, 2025, Duke filed an informational update on recent steps taken to execute the Commission's carbon plan and integrated resource plan. On November 17th, 2025, Duke filed its semi-annual update report on large load customer additions in advanced stages of development for fall 2025. On November 19th, 2025, the Commission issued an order scheduling hearings, establishing procedural and filing requirements, requesting supplemental testimony, and requiring public notice. On December 3rd, 2025, Duke filed DEC's and DEP's identification of designated issues for the 2025 carbon plan and integrated resource plan proceeding and indexed to direct testimony. On November 19th, 2025, Duke filed supplementary testimony in support of the 2025 CPIRP and an index to direct and supplemental direct testimony. On January 30th, 2026, Duke filed their affidavits and certification of publication of public notice. The following parties have petitioned to and been allowed to intervene in this proceeding: the North Carolina Attorney General's Office, Avangrid Power, LLC, Carolina Clean Energy Business Association, Clean Energy Buyers Association, Carolina Industrial Group for Fair Utility Rates 2 and 3, Carolina Utility Customers Association, Incorporated, Environmental Defense Fund, Google, NC Warren, North Carolina Electric Membership Corporation, North Carolina Sustainable Energy Association, and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, Sierra Club, and Vote Solar, known as SACE et al., Total Energies Carolina Long Bay, LLC. That brings us to tonight's hearing. First, I'd like to say we appreciate you joining us here tonight to voice your views on this important matter. We welcome your testimony, and we want to hear from you. In conducting this hearing, the Commission functions in a judicial capacity as we are required by North Carolina law. Because the Commission functions as a court, we cannot respond to your questions. Instead, we are here to receive evidence from you in the form of your testimony. The public staff, which represents the using and consuming public, is made a party to this proceeding under North Carolina General Statute 62-15D. In this proceeding, the public staff represents you, the using and consuming public. Tonight, they act as your attorney. To facilitate this remote hearing, we use the following procedure. We will follow, for the most part, the North Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure and Rules of Evidence. Because the Commission is functioning as a court, we cannot respond to your questions. Rather, we are here to receive evidence from you in the form of your testimony. If you choose to testify tonight, you will be asked to affirm the truthfulness of your testimony. If you have a Bible with you and would prefer to be sworn, we will do that also. Public witnesses will appear by audio connection only. Commissioners and attorneys will appear by video and audio connection. Any public witness that wishes to view a live video of the proceeding may access it via YouTube, which is linked from the Commission webpage. Public witnesses will be called on to testify in the order in which they have signed up. When it is your turn to speak, the WebEx administrator will send you a request to unmute. You will hear the message, "You are being asked to unmute yourself." To unmute, press *6. It is important that you listen for this message. Once you unmute yourself, please state your name to signify that you are unmuted. At that time, I will ask you to provide an affirmation as to the truthfulness of your testimony. Once you have provided the affirmation, the attorney for the public staff will ask you to testify. To ensure all witnesses have the opportunity to participate tonight, witnesses will be limited to 3 minutes to testify. Please refrain from offering opinions on matters that are not related to Duke Energy's biennial carbon plan and integrated resources plan, which is before the Commission in this docket. You may be asked questions by the attorneys or the commissioners. However, as a reminder, the Commission and attorneys for the parties are not allowed to respond to your questions during this hearing. At this, we are ready to begin. I'm going to recognize first the attorney for the petitioner and the attorney for public staff. Ask each of you to identify yourselves. After that, we will address any preliminary matters, and then each attorney will have the opportunity for an opening statement. Starting with the applicant.
Thank you, Chair Broadley. This is Hayes Finley. I'm appearing tonight on behalf of Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress.
Good evening, Ms. Finley.
Good evening, Chairman Brawley, Commissioner McKissick, and Commissioner Gaida. Tom Felling with the public staff on behalf of the using and consuming public.
Good evening, Mr. Felling. Ms. Finley, do you have an opening statement for Duke?
No opening statement. We're just eager to hear what the public who signed up have to say.
Thank
and
you.
happy to be here.
Okay, Mr. Felling, if you would instruct your witnesses.
Thank you, Chairman Brawley. And if it is acceptable, I would like to give just a brief opening statement.
Yes, sir, by all means.
All right. Good evening. My name is Tom Felling, and I'm a staff attorney with the Public Staff. The Public Staff is an independent state agency that represents the using and consuming public, that means ratepayers like yourselves, in matters before the North Carolina Utilities Commission. Public Staff has been reviewing the Carbon Plan and Integrated Resource Plan, or CPIRP, filed by Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress in this proceeding. We have a team of engineers, accountants, economists, and attorneys analyzing Duke's modeling, resource portfolios, and requests to move forward with near-term actions. We are scheduled to file our testimony and exhibits setting out our position regarding the CPIRP on March 30th. Our testimony will be available for your review on the Commission's website, along with other documents related to the case. The purpose of the hearing tonight is to hear from customers like yourselves regarding this application. When it's your turn to speak, as the presiding commissioner indicated, you will be sworn or affirm. Next, I will ask you your name and address and whether you are a Duke Energy customer. This matter will be recorded by our court reporter, so in order to ensure a clean record, we ask that you speak clearly so we can get an accurate statement of your record, record of your statement. We appreciate each of you being present tonight for this hearing. Thank you.
Okay, are you ready to proceed, sir? All right.
I am Chairman Brawley. Thank you.
Mr. McCoy, if you would unmute the first witness. Mr. McCoy, have you been successful in contacting the witness? I noticed that you're muted.
I have not. I have sent a request. I'm going to proceed to the next person.
Okay.
Tanya Whittington.
Tanya Whittington.
It's Sonia. Sanja. Sonia.
Okay. Would you spell both your first and last name for the court reporter, please?
Sonia, Sanja, and Whittington, Whittington. Sonia
Okay.
Whittington.
Okay. Would you tell us your address and whether or not you're a Duke customer?
Yes. I'm here on behalf of our organization that's located at 1000 North Main Street, Fuquay Varina, North Carolina 27526. And I too am also a customer of Duke Energy.
What's the name of your organization, please, ma'am?
Democracy Green.
Thank you. Mr. Felling?
Excuse me.
Thank you, Chairman
Yes,
Brawley. Those are my questions. I think once the witness is sworn, we'll be ready to proceed.
Okay. Would you prefer to swear or affirm?
You can affirm. It'd be good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So, yeah, that's the question.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. I think we have your preliminary information, so please proceed with your statement.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I am Sonia Whittington, the Executive Director of Democracy Green. I am here to address a critical planning failure in the Carbon Plan. Our organization filed formal comments on August 26, 2025 in docket E-100 sub 208 regarding the investigation of large electric load additions. We stated then that the lack of transparency in AI and data center siting would lead to an unjust energy burden on rural North Carolinians. Today, we are seeing the 15% rate hike that is the direct result of that planning failure. The urgency of our 2025 warning has been magnified by the February 2026 Court of Appeals ruling. which determined that Duke Energy is not required to provide refunds to customers for misapplied fuel charges. This ruling has stripped our communities of their back-end protection. If the utility overages do not build infrastructure for big tech, we can no longer rely on the courts to get that money back. This carbon plan is now the only line of defense left for the captive customer. We are seeing rural communities in North Carolina being treated as a battery for global AI demand. Duke is asking for new gas plants to serve these large loads, but the cost of system reinforcement are being socialized onto the bills of families across North Carolina. This is an inequitable distribution of risk. Industrial growth must pay its own way. I urge the Commission to mandate a cost to serve protection for residential customers within this carbon plan. Accountability cannot be an afterthought when the courts have already closed the door on refunds. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions for the witness from Duke? Commission, questions from public staff?
No questions for Ms. Whittington. Thank you, Ms. Whittington.
Okay.
you.
Are there questions from other commissioners? I'm assuming no. I can't hear you, but you're shaking your heads. Ms. Whittington, I did.
Yes.
You actually made reference to E-100 sub 208. We're on E-100 sub 207, the carbon plan. So I think we'll go ahead and take your testimony. And thank you for appearing tonight.
Yes, I was attempting to connect the two, if that, kind of makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for appearing.
Oh,
Mr.
sure.
McCoy.
Thank you.
You're excused, ma'am. Mr. McCoy?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Would you tell me your name?
Sure. First name is Professor Lanicia, L.A., capital M as in mango, E-S-H-I-A. Last name is Whittington, W-H-I-T-T-I-N-G-T-O-N.
Okay. Would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirmed.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you. Ms. Whittington, would you please provide your address and state whether you are a Duke Energy customer?
Sure. I'm today representing my organization, and our secondary address is 355 East Court Street in Marion, North Carolina, 28752. And our organization and I as an individual are both Duke customers.
Okay. And would you please identify your organization?
Yes, Democracy Green.
All right. Please proceed with your statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioner. As stated, I am Professor Lanicia Whittington, President of the Board and co-founder of Democracy Green, and a former co-lead for Sub-Team B of the Low Income Affordability Collaborative, LIAC, appointed by the North Carolina Utilities Commission in 2021. I am here to challenge the current carbon plan's reliance on archaic assistance models. While Duke's supporting testimony for this plan points to the $42 customer assistance program cap as evidence of existing support as a solution, let us be clear that program, which my working group and other working groups, a part of the LIAC, helped create, that was a 2021 pilot. It is mathematically insufficient for a 2026 landscape where energy burdens in rural North Carolina have climbed to 19.8%. You are using a floor we built years ago as a ceiling to trap residents today. We established the 6% affordability threshold in our July 29, 2022 joint final report, yet this carbon plan contains no binding mechanism to meet that standard. The previous CPIRP order from 2024 accepted a delay in carbon goals based on load growth forecasts that have already been eclipsed. By relying on the 2022 to 2024 frameworks for affordability, the Commission is essentially using a map of a city that no longer exists. The previous plan's reliance on temporary pilots is exactly why we need a permanent low-income affordability tariffs in the 2026 plan. Furthermore, this roadmap lacks the cost to serve, transparency stipulated. I believe Sonia mentioned this, but Democracy Green, our formal filing, while it is a different docket, it relates to what we're seeing in the carbon plan because the impacts on our communities have become that much more great. We forecasted large electric load additions driven by AI and data centers, and it's being used to justify this massive infrastructure spending that we are seeing across the CPIRP and such. So currently, the carbon plan lacks a firewall to prevent these industrial costs from being socialized onto residential bills. We are moving towards performance-based rate making, PBR, but under the current plan, Duke is rewarded for reliability while 600,000 households face disconnection. Performance without affordability is not progress, it is a predatory business model. Finally, the February 2026 North Carolina Court of Appeals ruling in the CIGFUR/fuel rider matter has stripped our communities of back-end protections by precluding retroactive refunds for misapplied charges. This Commission's prospective approval of this carbon plan is therefore the sole remaining mechanism for the protection of captive residential customers. In light of the elimination of judicial redress, the Commission's failure to mandate a permanent low-income affordability tariff, specifically an income-tiered PIP, would result in a mathematically certain non-recoverable deprivation of property and systemic failure of the just and reasonable rate-making standard under North Carolina General Statute 62-133. In closing, House Bill 951 mandates this biennial update specifically to ensure the carbon plan remains least cost and just and reasonable in real time. Therefore, the Commission must utilize this 2026 proceeding to correct the mathematical failures of previous cycles by codifying that permanent low-income affordability tariff as a binding requirement of this roadmap. Anything less, it's a failure of the statutory mandate and a grave injustice to our communities. The era of pilot programs is over. The era of policy protection must begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions, Chair Brawley.
Okay.
No questions.
Thank you, Professor. Mr.
Thank you.
McCoy, if we call the next witness.
This is Michelle Carter.
Good evening, Ms. Carter. Would you prefer to swear or be affirmed?
I'll swear.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you. Ms. Carter, would you please provide your address and state whether you are a Duke Energy customer?
Yes, my address is 112 Snow Crest Trail, Durham, North Carolina, zip code 27707, and I am a Duke Energy customer.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Please proceed with your statement.
Fantastic. First, I loved the previous testimony and everything about that I completely agree with. Thank you to the Utilities Commission for allowing me to speak today. My name is Michelle Carter, employee of the North Carolina League of Conservation Voters Foundation. I'm speaking today to urge the Commission to deny Duke Energy's proposed carbon plan, as it does not set our state on a strong enough path to comply with the requirements of House Bill 951. First, I must highlight the lack of transparency of this carbon plan process. A fair and effective carbon plan should at least try to meaningfully engage residents and meet them where they're at, not bury them in hundreds of pages of overly technical information with no clear explanation. Duke refuses to share any information or data specifically with interested parties and instead requires them to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Parties that do agree to Duke Energy's terms still seem to be kept mostly in the dark. This lack of transparency is harmful for interested parties, including residents like myself and local governments trying to understand whether our state will meet the legally required goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. Duke cannot continue to hide behind NDAs and trade secrets any longer, and it is their duty as commissioners to make this process transparent. Next, it is clear to me that Duke Energy has no plan for following the law and truly decarbonizing the sector by 2050. The carbon plan's near-term action plan only extends to 2040, leaving a 10-year gap in which Duke assumes carbon emissions will dramatically decrease. Duke is not considering what sources would be best in the long term once they're required to achieve these net zero emissions, and is instead only focused on the short term. While Senate Bill 266, passed by the North Carolina General Assembly in 2025, does remove the interim requirement for emissions reductions, both the Commission and Duke are bound by law to take meaningful action to reduce emissions now rather than waiting until close to 2050. Furthermore, I believe the current carbon plan diminishes the significance of the NCUC's authority, specifically in the gas plant permitting process. Senate Bill 266 does allow Duke to recoup costs associated with construction. However, Duke is planning to recover costs from customers for equipment for gas plants before any permits for proposed new gas plants are issued, per page 19 of Chapter 4 of the 2025 CPIRP. By writing this so openly, I believe that Duke Energy is confident that you as commissioners will permit every single one of their gas plants and is not taking your authority or their mission to protect ratepayers seriously. At the end of the day, the intent of the carbon plan is to decarbonize the grid and build low-cost, clean energy, not line the pockets of Duke Energy shareholders. The members of the commission, I believe, need to step up and do their job of regulating one of the most profitable utilities in the United States with the existing laws in North Carolina. I encourage you to go back to the drawing board for a cleaner carbon plan. And further, I urge the public staff to be brave and to continue to protect the interests of North Carolinians who are clearly opposing this plan and are actively choosing between buying medicine and paying their power bills. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
No questions. Thank you.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions, Chair Rowling.
No
Ms.
questions.
Carter, you are excused. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you. Questions from commissioners? No questions, Chair Rowling.
Hello, caller, are you there?
Yes,
Would you state your name, please?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Lori O'Loughlin.
Ms. O'Loughlin, would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirm is fine.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. O'Loughlin, would you please spell your first and last name so we have it correctly in the record?
First name is Lori, Laurie. Last name is O'Loughlin, OLOUGHLIN.
Thank you. And would you please provide your address and state whether you're a Duke Energy customer?
My address is 4 Castlewood Lane, Pinehurst, 28374. And yes, I'm a Duke customer.
Thank you. Please proceed.
I thank the commission for the opportunity to speak my mind. I'm sure this is not an easy task. Your role in protecting the rate-paying customers of Duke Energy is much appreciated. It's now time to turn to clean, renewable energy sources. Duke should be the vanguard of conversion and transition to a clean energy future. American industry has always embraced innovation and new technology. Why isn't Duke doing the same? Why does Duke still plan to replace coal plants with dirty gas-fired plants to be obsolete, stranded assets before even 10 years? Why won't Duke replace those coal-fired plants now with a combination of solar, wind, and battery energy sources and retire all of those old fossil plants? And why am I saying the same thing that I said in my testimony in 2022? If we don't reduce net greenhouse gas emissions worldwide to zero by 2050, only 24 years away, we will subject our children and grandchildren to ever-increasing heat, wildfires, droughts, rising sea levels, more powerful and destructive hurricanes, more barren oceans. Not exactly the kind of future our parents gave us as Disney's Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow with electricity for leisure, comfort, and progress. But that was fossil fuel electricity and was leading to the climate crisis we now face. Every moment burning fossil fuel brings us farther from our goal, increases the greenhouse effect heating our world, takes us farther from solving this crisis and closer to the tipping point when the effects of global warming cannot be reversed and we cannot go back even to today's relative comfort. Do we really want to leave that legacy to our children and grandchildren? A terrible, horrible, no good, very bad tomorrow? So why build even one more dirty fossil plant? What stops Duke from right now pledging to retire all of their fossil plants, replacing each one with clean, renewable energy sources, and never build another dirty fossil plant? What stops Duke from taking that path of innovation and creativity to give us that real great, big, beautiful tomorrow? Duke has a great opportunity right now to lead us into a future of clean, renewable energy for electricity, to create thousands of new jobs and show the people of North Carolina the wonders of clean, renewable energy with solar, wind, and battery power. I urge the Utilities Commission to once again send Duke back to the drawing board to find the way forward without new fossil plants of any sort, retire and replace the remaining fossil plants with innovative and exciting new renewable technology with a true commitment to net zero emissions by 2050. We owe it to ourselves, our children, and grandchildren. We can't wait even one more fossil fueled minute. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Ms. Lofton, thank you for coming. You're excused. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you.
Susanna Watkins.
Good evening, Ms. Watkins. Would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirm.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Your witness, Mr. Felling.
Thank you. Ms. Watkins, so we have it accurately in the record, would you mind spelling your first and last name for us?
Suzanna, last name Watkins.
Thank you. And please provide your address and state whether you're a Duke Energy customer.
925 Marguerite Drive, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 27106. And yes, I am a Duke Power customer and ratepayer.
All right. Thank you for that. Please proceed with your statement.
First, I want to thank the North Carolina Utilities Commission for all that you do, and especially for the rapid prototyping initiative to test pilot programs to speed up grid innovation. As a Duke Energy ratepayer, I am concerned that Duke plans to eliminate the 2030 carbon reduction interim target. An interim target is really important to stay on track to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. Energy costs keep rising for folks like me due to the volatility of natural gas prices. Wind and solar are now both cheaper and faster to onboard than new methane gas plants. Battery storage costs continue to fall, making renewables a terrific resource for the grid. Solar farms can work in harmony with agricultural farms, mitigating the financial risks of farming while preserving agricultural land. I understand that Duke's updated carbon plan eliminates wind power, which is very short-sighted. Wind can generate a lot of clean power, and when sited far enough offshore, is not easy to detect visually. Overall, a diverse mix of energy resources will make our grid more reliable without sending energy costs through the roof. Instead of continuing to run dirty and expensive coal plants, these should be quickly retired and replaced with cheaper, cleaner renewables. Duke Energy certainly has the know-how and the resources to transition its energy production away from fossil fuels to rapidly evolving clean technologies to meet that 2050 carbon neutrality goal. Clean is cheap, and cheap is clean. Duke customers are doing their part to maximize efficiency and reduce waste. It is time for Duke to do its part to move North Carolina to a clean energy future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
Thank you. No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
Ms. Watkins, you are excused. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you.
Hope Taylor.
Would you repeat your name, please?
Hope Taylor.
Hope Taylor. Ms. Taylor, would you
Hopeteaylor.
would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirmed, please.
Yes, ma'am. Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Felling, you're a witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Taylor, would you please provide your address and state whether you're a Duke Energy customer?
I live at 1588 Jack Clement Road, Stem, North Carolina, 27581. And I am a Duke Progress customer with a net metered solar electric residential system.
All right, thank you for that, Ms. Taylor. Please proceed with your statement.
Good evening. I'm Hope Taylor, Executive Director of Clean Water for North Carolina, a grassroots, science-based environmental justice organization with members in over 60 counties. Duke Energy's proposed carbon plan is a monument to environmental and economic injustice and several major steps back from climate accountability, meaning that North Carolina will be a much more substantial contributor to climate chaos in the coming years. The Department of Environmental Quality has acknowledged that a significant increase in carbon emissions is inevitable if Duke's carbon plan is approved and implemented. Many of the fossil fuel power and pipeline projects that would drive that increase are already approved by the Utilities Commission, permitted by DEQ, and under construction, disrupting residents, businesses, and even schools. This was preventable, and it's not too late to stop some of the worst impacts. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline was an unneeded, grossly expensive, and highly disruptive project whose abandonment did not leave us vulnerable to energy shortages. Similarly, the needless construction of fossil fuel and nuclear plants, far more expensive and environmentally hazardous than cheaper renewable sources with battery storage, are prioritized not because they are better technology or more cost-effective, but precisely because our utility rate recovery mechanisms incentivize building more costly plants to maximize shareholder profits. Clean Water for North Carolina has worked with communities of modest income impacted by coal ash contamination and air emissions for decades by two of North Carolina's largest coal-fired plants in Person and Stokes counties. To allow the extension of any of North Carolina's coal-fired power plants is to perpetuate massive environmental injustice. And the Commission has certified new methane gas-fired power plants that will impact the predominantly African American Person County community at least
one of which will be mostly to power a proposed new Microsoft mega data center and possibly other heavy industry. Mechanisms to protect ratepayers from the cost of building and operating these costly plants with volatile fuel prices are tragically inadequate. Stokes County residents impacted by continuing unhealthy emissions from the huge Belize Creek plant would be expected to accept that pollution until 2040, when Duke expects to have built an extremely expensive and as yet unproven small modular reactor. Foreign technologists have already shown how massively inefficient our US produced chips and thus our AI data centers are. It's highly likely that communities which have been forced to accept large, costly pipelines and fossil fuel power plants will soon find themselves with stranded assets when the data center bubble bursts and all of the expensive infrastructure and skyrocketing utility rates will have just been a waste. Clean Water for North Carolina calls on the Utilities Commission to reject Duke's 2025 carbon plan, to reverse course even beyond the clean energy expectations of the previous plan, to protect ratepayers, our economy, our climate, and already disproportionately impacted communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Any questions from Duke?
No questions.
Any questions from public staff?
One question, Chairman. Ms.
Yes.
Taylor, you referred to your role as the Executive Director of Clean Water for North Carolina. Are you here today on behalf of that agency or group?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. You're excused.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy.
Matthew Mayers.
I did not clearly understand your last name. Would you tell me again, please?
My name is Matthew Mayers, Mayers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayers. Would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
I would like to be sworn.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You're a witness, Mr. Felling.
Thank you. Mr. Mayers, would you please provide your address and state whether you're a Duke Energy customer?
I live at 2844 Wesleyan Lane in Winston-Salem, 27106. And yes, I am a Duke Energy Carolinas customer.
Thank you for that. Please proceed with your statement.
Thank you, and thanks to the Commission for this opportunity to speak. And I also want to echo one of the earlier testimonies and thanking you for an order going back over a year ago now for rapid prototyping, which I think should help to bring innovative solutions to grid problems to our state. As a ratepayer, though, seeing my bills going up and promise to go up quite a bit more, I'm really disappointed with the carbon plan that I see in front of me. There are lots of reasons that a person might not like what they see, but let's be honest, this is about money. I think that same person who was testifying before said, clean is cheap and cheap is clean. We've all seen the direction that natural gas prices are going. We've seen how gas turbines themselves are going up in price. As it turns out, solar panels, batteries, and wind are all going in the opposite direction and promise to continue to do so for a long time. So why are we not following that least cost pathway? There's probably lots of reasons for that too, but we need to reverse course. We need to invoke the idea of least cost and use renewables and batteries. Now, we all know that there are some issues bringing distantly sited renewables into the centers of population where energy is used, which is going to bring me back to the idea of the rapid prototyping. This commission, as well as Duke Energy, I believe really needs to lean in much more into some of the innovative things going around going on around the rest of the country. Specifically, I'm thinking of grid enhancing technologies like reconductoring with better lines. I'm thinking of dynamic line rating that allows us to get more out of our existing grid. I'm thinking of virtual power plants that allow us to manage demand much more effectively. I'm thinking of far greater deployment of batteries at all levels of the grid. It can be sited co-located with generation. It can be used as a distribution resource at substations, and very importantly, it can be used as a resiliency resource as well as capacity within buildings in the service area. And very, very importantly, there needs to be a renewed emphasis and an increased emphasis on efficiency programming, especially aimed at energy burdened individuals, because not only will that help to lower their bills, it'll also reduce peak load, which is really the issue here, isn't it? We're seeing massive growth in demand, or at least projected massive growth, and we need to somehow meet those peak demands. We can do that with renewables and batteries, but we need to be smart about how we deploy our technologies. And so I urge the Commission to allow more of these things that I've been speaking about to be selected as rate-basable resources. Again, I'll repeat what an earlier person said. Clean is cheap and cheap is clean. Let's follow our least cost pathway, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
Mr. Mayor, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy.
Jane Barnett.
Ms. Barnett, would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirm.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you, or excuse me, nothing but the truth, period?
I do.
Your witness, Mr. Felling.
Ms. Barnett, so we have it accurately in the record, can you please spell your name?
JaneBarnett.
Thank you. And would you please provide your address and state whether you're a Duke Energy customer?
I live at Phoenix Village, and my address is 514 East New Jersey Avenue, Southern Pines, North Carolina, 28387. And I believe our energy is provided through Duke here at Phoenix Village.
Thank you for that. Please proceed with your statement.
I'm a retired math teacher and a student of climate change. Thank you for allowing me to comment. I appreciate your dedication to a difficult assignment. And since the world's population, with my 5 great-grandchildren, need a clean environment for many years to come, I care deeply about the actions of this vital sector of the economy. We hear repeated reports of the hottest year in recorded history. And as Los Angeles was burning, then the mountains of North Carolina were devastated by unimaginable flooding caused by a hurricane touching down in Florida. The urgency in taking actions to address the warming climate is only growing. A much greater demand for electrical power is expected. Population growth, commercial development, and planned massive data centers. And while keeping the cost down is a stated goal in Duke's IRP. There's some encouraging news, however. After writing 20 books on environmental topics, Bill McKibben's book, Here Comes the Sun, celebrates the hopeful news that during the early 20s, the cost of fast-growing solar and wind energy has become cheaper than that of fossil fuels. However, Duke's power plan seems to be moving in the wrong direction. If emissions from burning fossil fuels are to be reduced, building new natural gas plants and slowing the closure of the dirtiest producers, coal plants, won't be a solution. They've dropped North Carolina's 2021 bipartisan law to cut emissions 70% by 2030. And the national administration is canceling the goals of the Clean Air Act, removing incentives to build more solar and wind power. In spite of the goal of keeping costs down, building new gas plants involves supply lines for fracked methane gas as prices soar, and customers will be paying off obsolete plants for decades, along with expensive maintenance on the old coal plants. It seems Duke's close affiliation with the fossil fuel industry and insincere mentions of green energy are revealed. Instead, my ask is this: using federal tax credits for solar and wind development before they expired could have saved millions. Also, investing in solar, wind, and batteries can build an integrated system produced by using natural resources and complementing each other. Both goals, lowering emissions and lowering costs, could be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. Are there questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. You're excused. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you.
Caller, are you there?
Larry Whitman.
Mr. Whitman, would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirmed.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Felling, you're a witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Sir, would you please spell your first and last name for us for the clarity of the record?
Okay. My first name is Larry, which is Larrry. My last name is Widman, which is spelled WID, like in David, MAN.
Thank you for that, sir. And would you please provide your address and state whether you are a Duke Energy customer?
My address is 5512 Mount Pleasant Circle in Leland, North Carolina, 28451. And I am a Duke customer.
All right, thank you, sir. Please proceed with your statement.
I appreciate you taking your valuable time to listen to my comments on the Duke Carbon Plan. I know that the NC Utilities Commission is extremely busy, especially in these trying times. Personally, I believe that it is critical for North Carolina and the rest of the country to take whatever action it can to minimize the effects of climate change. I believe the best way to accomplish this is to build out more sources of renewable energy as well as battery storage to replace coal and natural gas. The cost of solar and wind generation has plummeted in the past 15 years. Utility scale solar generation, meaning the cost to an electric utility to generate electricity from solar, fell 85% in the decade between 2010 and 2020. Solar and wind are now less expensive for generating electricity than both natural gas or coal. According to PV Magazine's report on Lazard's levelized cost of energy for 2025, utility scale solar costs between 4 and 8 cents per kilowatt hour, even without the subsidies from the Inflation Reduction Act. With battery storage added, solar generation costs 5 cents to 13 cents. By comparison, generating electricity from natural gas costs 13.8 to 26 cents per kilowatt hour. Coal is even more expensive. Battery storage has also fallen dramatically in price and appears poised to continue falling. This significantly increases the value of renewables and allows them to provide a larger portion of the overall grid needs. Solar has the added advantage that it can scale up in small increments, making it a better, more flexible choice when responding to uncertain power needs from projected data center construction than methane gas plants. Solar farms also can be integrated into agricultural settings, serving as an economic lifeline for financially at-risk farmers. With wind, especially offshore wind, it can be sited far enough off the coast to be difficult to notice and can provide extremely large amounts of power, which we will need as we enter the 2030s, and a more diverse mix of energy resources will make our grid more reliable. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Questions from Duke?
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
Thank you. No questions.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
No
All right,
questions.
Mr. Whitman, you're excused.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
Chair, I have two callers in here that have not responded. I'm going to try once again to see if they will hit *6 to unmute.
Yes, let's
Let's see
do
here.
that.
I will try the first one now. That is for Doris Crute. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Sworn, please.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Would you please state your name and spell your name for us so we have it accurately in the record, please?
Yes, I'll be happy to. Thank you so much. My name is Doris Crute. Crute is the last name, Doris Crute, and I reside in Rutherfordton, North Carolina.
Thank you, Ms. Crute. And will you please state whether you're a Duke Energy customer?
Yes, I am, for years.
All right. Please proceed with your statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you. My name again is Doris Crute, and I'm a community leader in a small town called Rutherfordton in the area of New Hope. And I'm particularly interested in talking about New Hope. I am the community coordinator for a small organization called Martin Luther King Committee. And within that committee, we serve seniors. And seniors are talking about how their prices of the electric bill is going up. And it's a small little community, but the seniors are very much concerned. They live on a fixed income, they're hardworking, their families, and they're being crushed by the raising cost of the basic human necessities, and that's the electricity. And every year, our little committee called Martin Luther King honors the legacy of Dr. King, who spoke about the urgency of now. In New Hope, the urgency is felt every time a blue Duke Energy envelope arrives in the mail. We are seeing bills jump by $100 to $200 in a single month. And for seniors in my community, that isn't just a rate increase, but it's a difference between buying hard medication or keeping the heat on. We are being told that this plan is for a cleaner future, but what is good is clean future if the community can't afford to live in its own community. We are seeing high-tech growth and new developments all around us, but my neighborhood are one of the ones that's paying the price. When we call or dispute these bills, we are told it's the weather, but we know the truth. Its rates is rising while our wages are not rising. We feel like our voices are being drowned out by the noise of utility profits and industrial demand. I speak to all the commissioners to remember the members of the New Hope community. We need all affordable plans that would actually work for the poor and the elderly, especially our seniors as well. We need protection, not just promises. I really thank you all for your time. Thank you so much for the job that you do.
Thank
And
you,
I live
ma'am.
at 174 Lynch Street in Rutherford, North Carolina.
Thank you, Ms. Crute. Are there questions from
Thank
Duke?
you.
No questions.
Questions from public staff?
One question, Chairman.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Ms. Crute. You referenced your organization, the Martin Luther King Committee. Are you here speaking tonight on their behalf?
Yes, in our community of New Hope. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
Ms. Crute, you are excused.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. McCoy?
Lee
Mr. Lee.
Morgan.
There we go.
Okay. Would you say your name again, please?
It's Lee Morgan. That's
Would
Leemorgan.
would you prefer to be sworn or affirmed?
Affirmed.
Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you. Mr. Felling, your witness.
Thank you, Chairman. Would you please provide your address and state whether you are a Duke Energy customer?
I live at 109 White Ash Drive East, Asheville, 28804, and I am a Duke customer.
Thank you for that. Please proceed.
In June of 2025, my wife and I moved from rural Minnesota to Asheville. We were pleased to discover that our electricity rates here were about 12% lower than from Xcel Energy in Minnesota. We also used the free home energy audit offered by Duke. We had this done in Minnesota, and it resulted in significantly heightening and insulating our home and installing 24 solar panels. In Asheville, we cannot afford to install a solar array, but would like to install plug-in solar panels and batteries. Millions of plug-in solar panels have been installed in Germany. Utah has just passed enabling legislation. The idea is to make it legal to install UL-approved plug-in solar panels and batteries while protecting Duke from liability. I want to encourage Duke to support enabling legislation. I applaud North Carolina's commitment to carbon neutrality by 2050. Minnesota has a similar commitment by 2040. One cloud over the carbon neutral future is the expansion of data centers. I strongly believe that the beneficial owners of the data centers have the capital and the incentives to provide the expanded clean energy and should be required to do so. There are several reasons to accelerate the move to carbon-free power. One, the rate of global warming is increasing. In 2026, aided by the El Nino oscillation, it is predicted to be the hottest year for Earth in human history. Second, the war in Iran has highlighted the volatility of prices and supply of fossil fuels. Clean energy is vital to our national security as well as the survival of our species. Three, Wind and solar combined with batteries are less expensive and faster to install than coal, oil, or gas. Don't dial back wind and solar as is reflected in the current short-term proposal from Duke Energy. 4, new fossil fuel plants, particularly gas, lock us in to 35 years of emissions with unstable and rising fuel costs. Thank you very much, commissioners, for your attention.
Thank you. Any questions from Duke?
No questions.
Any questions from public staff?
No questions. Thank you.
Questions from commissioners?
No questions.
Mr. McCoy, do we have any other witnesses?
We do not. That is it.
Okay, so are there any issues that we need to be addressed? Duke?
No issues.
Public staff?
None from the public staff.
Hearing none, we are now at the conclusion of this evening's public witness hearing, and we are adjourned.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Good night, all.
Good night.